Hello everyone, welcome to our video, and now we're going to practice adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing polynomials. So as always, I urge you guys to pause the video, try solving them by yourself, and then see if your answers match mine. So the first example that we have here, A, is 5x squared plus 3x minus 9 plus 4x squared minus 6x plus 2. We're dealing with addition here, so the game plan is to combine like terms. Let's use different colors. We combine the x squareds first. So we have 5x squared plus 4x squared. So we could essentially ignore the brackets. So 5 plus 4 is 9x squared. Next we combine the x's. So we have positive 3x here, negative 6x here. So 3 plus negative 6, we get negative 3x. And then lastly we have negative 9 and 2. So we're adding negative 9 plus positive 2, and that gives us minus 7. And this is our answer. Okay, that's for A. Let's look at B. B, we have negative x to the 5 plus 7x to the 4 plus 2x cubed. All that plus x to the 5 minus 6x to the 4 minus 2x cubed. Okay, so let's begin by combining our x to the 5s. So we have negative x to the 5 plus x to the 5. Think of it as negative 1 plus 1. Negative 1 plus 1, they actually cancel each other. So we don't have to write anything. It's 0x to the 5. If you want, you could write 0x to the 5. But any number times 0 is 0, so we don't have to write it. So these guys cancel each other out. That's good. Next we have 7x to the 4. So let's put a straight line here and a straight line here. 7x to the 4 minus 6x to the 4. So 7 minus 6 is 1x to the 4. And then lastly we have 2x cubed minus 2x cubed. So positive, negative, they're the exact same numbers, opposite signs. So again, they cancel each other. So we don't have to write anything. So the final answer is just simply x to the 4. Next, see, it looks a bit more intimidating because 1, we don't have x's, we have different letters, which is fine, but it's the same game plan. We have to combine like terms, okay? This is a bit of a trick, so be very careful. If you're tempted to add ab squared to 8a squared b, those are not the same. So pay very close attention to the exponents. What's the exponent on the a over here? The exponent is a 1. And the exponent on the b here is a 2. Whereas here, the exponent on the a is a 2. And the exponent on the b is a 1. So the exponents are opposite signs, opposite numbers. So we cannot add them, they're not the same. So we do not combine these two terms. Okay, so negative 7ab squared, this one over here, let's put an underline, could be combined with this one here, 5ab squared. Notice the exponent of the a is a 1 and the exponent of the b is a 2. That's what we want. So these two terms could be combined. So negative 7ab squared plus 5ab squared is negative 2ab squared. So we combine the ab squareds. Next, let's combine the a's. So we have 4a. And then that's it. There's no other a's. This is a b, so we cannot combine that. So we just leave the 4a. Next, we have the a squared b's. So negative 8 a squared b to the 1 can be combined with the a squared b over here. So negative 8 plus, think of it as a 1 here. So we get negative 7 a squared b. Those guys are done. And then lastly we have just the negative 9b. There's no other b, so we just plop that guy in. And you don't necessarily have to put them in any order. This is fine. We cannot combine anything else, so this is done. Let's keep practicing. Okay, so in this video here we have subtraction. As always, attempt the problems by yourself. See if you get the same answer as I do. But the first thing we should do is think of the negative sign or the minus sign as a negative 1 and distribute it. Let's start off by doing that. And what we get is negative x squared. Here we leave it the same, minus 2x plus 9. And then we get minus 7x squared. Negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3x. And then negative 1 times negative 5 is positive 5. So essentially all the signs switch. The 7 was positive, became negative. The 3 was negative, became positive. And the negative 5 became positive. Okay, and now we combine like terms. So add up all your x squareds. So you have negative x squared, negative 7x squared. That gives us negative 8x squared. Then we have the negative 2x, positive 3x. So negative 2 plus 3x is just x, positive x. And then lastly we have positive 9 and positive 5. So 9 plus 5 we get plus 14. And that's the answer. Negative x squared plus x plus 14. Nothing else to do there. Let's look at B. Same game plan. We have 8y squared plus 3y minus 4. All that minus 5y squared minus 6y minus 4. So think of the negative as a negative 1 and distribute it. Okay. This gives us 8y squared plus 3y minus 4 minus 5y squared. Negative 1 times negative 6, positive 6y. And negative 1 times negative 4, positive 4. And now again we combine like terms. So let's combine our y squareds. So we have 8y squared minus 5y squared. Because there's a negative in front, make sure you include that negative. So we get 3y squared. Next we combine our y's. So we have positive 3y, positive 6y. 3 plus 6 is 9, so we get plus 9y. And then lastly we have our numbers. We have negative 4 plus 4. Same number, opposite sign, they cancel each other. So we don't write anything. So our final answer is just 3y squared plus 9y. And we're done. Let's look at C. Over here we have 2z to the 5 plus 9z to the 3 minus z. All that minus 3z to the 4 minus 8z to the 3 plus 6z. So think of this as a negative 1 and distribute. This gives us 2z to the 5 plus 9z cubed minus z. Negative 1 times 3 is minus 3z to the 4. Negative 1 times negative 8 is positive 8z to the 3. And negative 1 times 6 is minus 6z. Okay, and now we combine like terms. So the first thing we have here is I usually start with the highest exponent, so 2z to the 5. There's no other no other z to the 5s here, so we just leave it as is. So we get 2z to the 5. The next exponent I see is the 4. We have negative 3z to the 4. Let's use just like a square. So we get minus 3z to the 4. Let's do z cubed now. Z cubed we have, let's just do a straight line. Positive 9z cubed and plus 8z cubed. So 9 plus 8 we get 17 z cubed. That's done. And now the z's. So we have negative z and negative 6z. So negative z or negative 1z minus 6 is minus 7z. And this is the final answer. Okay guys, keep up the great work. I'll see you in the next clip. So in this example here we have 3 times 7x squared minus 3x plus 5. This is a multiplication by a monomial. 3 is a monomial. So we have to use the distribution method or rainbow method. And you multiply this to everyone. So 3 times 7x squared, we get 21x squared. 3 times negative 3x is minus 9x. And then 3 times 5 is just 15. And that's the final answer. That's done. Let's look at B. B is a bit more involved. But once again, we still have a monomial here. And we're multiplying it by a binomial. This is 2 terms because it's separated by just a minus. But once again, we have to distribute. Okay. So don't let this intimidate you. Focus on the first 2 terms. When you multiply, start off with the numbers. So negative 3 times 6, we get negative 18. Then do your x's. x squared times x squared. Same base, we add the exponents. 2 plus 2 is 4, x to the 4. And then the same with the y's. Y times y cubed, think of it as y to the 1, add the exponents. 1 plus 3 is y to the 4. Okay, so that's the first term. Let's multiply the second term now. Start off with the numbers. Negative 3 times negative 4, so be careful with the negatives, is positive 12. X squared times x cubed, add the exponents. 2 plus 3 is 5. Y to the 1 times y to the 6, and now we get y to the 7. And this is the final answer. Okay. Lastly, here we have a bit more work to do, but it's essentially the same thing, just twice. Okay, so let's start off with the bracket on the left. We have 3b times a squared times negative b and times 2. So we have to distribute, and at the same time we have to distribute this as well. When you're distributing the second term, include the negative, okay? Don't leave the negative out. And distribute it. So let's start off with the left bracket. What we get is 3b times a squared. Think of it as a 1 in front, so we get 3 times 1 is 3. A squared b. I like to put them in alphabetical order. You don't have to, but that's the way I'm going to do it here. Then 3b times negative b is negative 3b squared. You add the exponents, so the exponent of the b is a 1 here. The b has an exponent 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. And then lastly, 3b times 2 is 6b. So the left bracket's done. Let's do the right bracket. Negative 4a times 2ab. So start off with the numbers. Negative 4 times 2 minus 8. A times a, so think of it as a to the 1, a to the 1. Add the exponents, a squared. And then there's just b that's left alone, so you have to write that in. Next is negative 4a times negative 3b. Two negatives make a positive, so it's plus. 4 times 3 is 12. Here it's a, here it's b, so you just write ab. Put them together. Lastly, we have negative 4a times 5, so negative 4 times 5 is minus 20. And we just have a. So if you stop here, it's premature. Be very careful. Make sure to always ensure that you check to combine like terms. That's the game plan. So can we combine like terms here? So this is why I put in alphabetical order, so that's easier to see. 3a squared b goes with negative 8a squared b. So let's start off with those guys. So 3 minus 8 is negative 5a squared b. Next, we have the negative 3b squared. Is there any other b squared? Nope. So let's just rewrite it. Minus 3b squared. There's no one to combine it with. Then we have the 6b. Is there any other b's? No. So let's just leave it as 6b. Notice that b and b squared don't combine. Different exponents. Then there's 12ab, doesn't combine with anything else. So plus 12ab. And then lastly, there's the minus 20a, which does not combine with anything, so we just rewrite it. So this is the final answer. Okay. So keep up the great work. So in this example now we're using division. So the first example, we have 9x squared minus 15x cubed plus 18x to the 5. All that divided by 3x. So we divide each term individually. That's the game plan for division. So 9x squared divided by 3x. So 9 divided by 3, I start off with the numbers, we get 3. And x squared divided by x, you have to remember your rules from laws of exponent. When you have the same base and you're dividing, you subtract the exponents. So the exponent of this x is 1. 2 minus 1 is just 1. So we get x to the 1, which I won't write. Minus 15 divided by 3 is 5. And x cubed divided by x, 3 minus 1 is 2. So you get x squared. And then lastly, we have 18 divided by 3 is 6. And x to the 5 divided by x, 5 minus 1 is x to the 4. And this is our final answer. Okay. For b, we do the same thing. We deal with each term individually. Okay, so if you want to take an extra step to write each term under, negative 6x squared under each term, you write them individually. You could do that as well. But I'm just going to write them down as I go. So 36x squared divided by negative 6x squared. So 36 divided by negative 6, we get negative 6. and x squared divided by x squared, 2 minus 2 is 0, you get x to the 0. But remember, what's anything to the exponent 0? From laws of exponent, it's our seventh property. That's just 1. It's another way of writing 1. So negative 6 times 1 doesn't change anything. You can just leave it as negative 6. On top, now we have negative 42x to the 4 divided by negative 6x to the 7. Negative 42 divided by negative 6. Two negatives turn into a positive. 42 divided by 6 is 7. X to the 4 over x to the 2. We do 4 minus 2. This gives us x squared. And then lastly, negative 12 divided by negative 6. Positive 2. X to the 6 divided by x squared. Same base, we're dividing, so we subtract the exponents again. 6 minus 2 is 4. So we get negative 6 plus 7x squared plus 2x to the 4. Notice that here it's not in increasing order. Usually it's the highest exponent is written first, but at the end of the day it doesn't matter the order in which you write it. Okay. Last example, C. We have 4xy squared plus 6x squared y minus 14x cubed y to the 5. All that divided by 2xy. So again, let's divide each term individually. We'll start off with 4 divided by 2. We get 2. X divided by x, it cancels each other. Y squared divided by y, we get y. 2 minus 1 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. X squared divided by x, we're left with just 1x. And y divided by y, they cancel each other out, so we won't write them. And then lastly, negative 14 divided by 2 is minus 7. X to the 3 divided by x, we're left with x squared. And y to the 5 divided by y, we're left with y to the 4. We subtract it by 1. Okay. And this is our final answer. There's nothing left to do. And that's division. Let's move on to the next example. So in this example here, we have x minus 1 times x plus 1. What you guys have to catch is that it's a binomial, two terms, times another binomial. So we have to use FOIL here. So we do the first term times the first term, x times x, we get x squared. Then x times positive 1, we get 1x. Negative 1 times x, we get minus x. And then negative 1 times positive 1, we get minus 1. Next we combine our like terms. Positive x minus x. Same number, different sign, they cancel each other. So we're left with x squared minus 1. This is our answer. For B, we do the same thing. We have a binomial times a binomial, so we get 2a times a, which is 2a squared. And then we do 2a times 3b. 2 times 3 is 6. A times b is just ab. Then negative b times a is minus ba. And then negative b times 3b is minus 3b squared. Okay. So if you stop here, this is wrong. This is a common mistake as well. Notice that we have a times b and then we have b times a. The order in which this is written doesn't matter, because think of it as 2 times 3 and 3 times 2. You agree that no matter which order they are in, you get the same answer. So the order in which you multiply doesn't change the value. So instead of BA, think of it as AB. This is why I always put it in alphabetical order, just to stay organized, because now it's clear that you could combine these two middle terms. Okay, so 6AB minus AB. So the final answer here is 2A squared. 6 minus 1 is positive 5AB minus 3B squared. And that's the final answer. Let me just lower this example here. I had, I think, 3x minus 2 squared or something. Okay, it doesn't matter. I think I changed the question, but let's still do this one. Since it's squared, think of it as 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2. I apologize if I changed the problem. But the trick that I want you guys to catch is the fact that when it's squared, you just multiply it by itself. It's a hidden FOIL question. So we have 3x times 3x, which gives us 9x squared. then 3x times negative 2 minus 6x, then negative 2 times 3x minus 6x, and then minus 2 times negative 2. Two negatives make a positive, so you get plus 4. And now we combine like terms. So we could add the negative 6's together. So we get 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. And this is the final answer. You guys, great stuff. I'll see you in the next example.